I never thought my life could flip upside down in the blink of an eye. Not after everything we had been through together. Not after all the years we built what I thought was a solid foundation. But there I was, standing in our living room, staring at my wife, Sophia, who had just confessed to cheating on me. And not just with anyone, but with Jason Hall, a Hollywood megastar with a jawline sharp enough to cut diamonds and a bank account deep enough to drown in. It started innocently enough, or so I had believed. Sophia was always into fashion, obsessed with the glamorous world of social media, constantly posting, tagging brands, and dreaming of her big break. When her follow account started skyrocketing after a few brand deals, I was genuinely happy for her. I mean, wasn't that what you're supposed to do as a husband? Support your wife's dreams? But the first warning sign came during her sudden surge of interest in networking events in LA. At first, I thought nothing of it. Networking was part of her job as an influencer, after all. But soon, the trips became more frequent. Too frequent. Her overnights started stretching into weekends. Then weeks. She claimed it was part of building her brand, but the late-night messages, whispered phone calls, and sudden changes in her demeanor painted a darker picture. "It's for us, babe," she'd say with her practiced smile, her lips red as fire as she packed yet another suitcase. "Once I make it big, we'll be set for life. You'll see." I wanted to believe her. I truly did. But deep down, I felt something was off. The night it all shattered was like any other. I came home from work, expecting Sophia to be prepping for another one of her events. She was lounging on the couch, phone in hand, her expression more distant than usual. My gut churned. Something wasn't right. "We need to talk," she said, her voice laced with a strange mix of hesitation and arrogance. My heart sank. She began the conversation in her usual roundabout way, talking about dreams, sacrifices, and the complexity of love in a world obsessed with fame and fortune. It felt rehearsed. I sat in silence, trying to piece together where this was heading. Then she dropped the bomb. "Jason and we've been seeing each other." I swear, I felt the world tilt. It was as if the ground beneath me gave way, and I was falling into an abyss. Jason Hall, the guy on every magazine cover, starring in blockbuster after blockbuster, adored by millions. And now, apparently, screwing my wife. At that moment, I didn't know what to say. How could I? What do you say to the woman you spent years building a life with, only to find out she's thrown it all away for a celebrity fling? I managed to choke out, "How long?" 6 months, she replied, her eyes finally meeting mine. He understands me in ways you can't, David. He's given me opportunities I could never have on my own. He's famous, rich, powerful." I laughed, a bitter, hollow sound that didn't feel like my own. "Opportunities? Is that what you call this? Sleeping with him for a taste of the high life? For fame?" Her face hardened. "Don't be naive. This is the real world. You think loyalty means anything when there's millions on the line? Jason can take me places you never could. He's already promised to introduce me to producers, top designers. He's going to make me a star." The audacity of her words left me speechless. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, was nothing but a hollow shell chasing after shallow dreams. I stood up, my body shaking with a mixture of anger and disbelief. "So, that's it? You're leaving me for him? For some fleeting fame?" She smirked, as if the answer was obvious. "I'm doing what's best for me, David. I thought you'd understand that by now." My heart hardened. The love, the trust, the future I thought we had, all gone, evaporated in an instant. I had to get out of there. The air in the room felt toxic. "We're done," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "Pack your bags. You can go live your fairy tale with Jason Hall." She didn't even flinch. I walked out, slamming the door behind me. But as I stood outside, the cool evening air hitting my face, something inside me shifted. This wasn't over. Oh no, I wasn't just going to let her waltz into the arms of a celebrity and get away with it. Sophia wanted fame, money, and the high life. Fine. She'd get exactly what she deserved. But it wouldn't be the glitz and glamour she envisioned. It would be something far darker, far more twisted. And that's when the plan began to take shape. She wasn't going to see it coming. Not at all. It didn't take long for the cracks in our marriage to become glaringly obvious, now that I knew what had been going on behind my back. Sophia's trips to LA became more frequent. Her returns home, colder, distant. There were no apologies, no regret. She acted like it was normal, like cheating on her husband for fame and money was just a part of the process. But what struck me the most was how little she cared. She seemed convinced I'd just fade into the background, that I'd somehow become a silent casualty of her rise to fame. Like I was just a stepping stone on her way to becoming Sophia Carter, social media queen and celebrity wife, or whatever twisted fantasy she had conjured up. But she didn't know me, not really. As the days passed, I allowed her to live in her illusion, never letting on that I was watching her every move. Every time she left for another one of her business trips to LA, I made a point to act indifferent. I let her believe she had won. I let her believe I was broken and beaten, a sad husband sitting at home while she ran off to live her dream with her Hollywood hunk. But the truth was, I was planning, calculating. Revenge doesn't just happen overnight. It takes time, precision, and the perfect execution. Sophia wasn't going to walk away from this unscathed. One day, she came back from a weekend with Jason, glowing with excitement. I remember the smug look on her face as she pranced around the house, humming some stupid song from Jason's latest movie. It was clear that something had shifted. She had finally crossed a line where she no longer saw me as a threat. To her, I was irrelevant, just a placeholder until Jason made their relationship public. "Guess what, babe," she said one night over dinner, barely looking at me as she scrolled through her phone, undoubtedly checking her Instagram comments or Jason's latest DM. I didn't respond. I was getting good at pretending not to care. "Jason's taking me to Cannes," she said, her voice brimming with excitement. "I'm going to be walking the red carpet. Imagine how many followers I'll get. This is huge for me. You wouldn't understand." She was right. I didn't understand. Not in the way she wanted me to. What I did understand was that she had crossed into a realm of selfishness and deceit that couldn't be forgiven. Cannes? The red carpet? She was living the high life now, and I was supposed to just sit back and let her? Not a chance. I let her ramble on about the trip. Jason had apparently arranged everything: the flights, the hotel, the outfits, even the interview she'd be giving as Jason Hall's stunning new girlfriend. The media was going to eat it up, she said. The cameras would follow them everywhere, and soon enough, Sophia Carter would be a household name. As she droned on about it, all I could think about was how far she'd fallen from the woman I once loved. The Sophia I married was ambitious, sure, but she was never this shallow. She never craved fame, money, or power like this. She had wanted to build a life together, not chase some Hollywood dream at my expense. But Jason had changed her, and for that, I hated him as much as I hated her. The day before she left for Cannes, I got a call. It was from an unknown number, but something inside me told me to pick up. On the other end of the line was a woman's voice, soft and hesitant. "David, it's Jennifer, Jason Hall's wife." I nearly dropped my phone. Jason's wife? Jennifer Hall wasn't some tabloid queen. She kept a low profile, which is probably why Sophia never mentioned her. Or maybe she was too caught up in her delusion to care that Jason had an actual wife. "I'm sorry for contacting you like this, but I think you and I are going through the same thing," she continued. I could hear the pain in her voice. It was a feeling I knew all too well. Jennifer proceeded to tell me that she had known about the affair for months. Months. Jason had been lying to both of us. He told Sophia that he was leaving his wife and wanted to be with her. He told Jennifer that he was only stringing Sophia along to boost his image. "He's a master manipulator, David, and it looks like your wife fell for it, just like I did years ago." I was stunned. For the first time, I realized that Sophia was nothing more than another pawn in Jason's game. He wasn't in love with her, nor was he going to make her a star. He was using her, just as he had probably used countless women before. And Sophia, blinded by her ambition, had fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. But here's the thing, I didn't feel pity for her. She had willingly walked into this mess. She had betrayed me, and now, it was time for payback. Jennifer and I talked for nearly an hour, comparing notes, sharing our stories, and coming to one very clear conclusion: Jason and Sophia needed to be taught a lesson. But my revenge wasn't just about Jason. No, this was about Sophia, the woman who had traded loyalty and love for fame and fortune. She thought she could cheat on me, parade around with Jason, and leave me in the dust. She thought I was powerless, just another boring husband who couldn't compete with a celebrity's charm. She had no idea what was coming. With Jennifer's help, the pieces began to fall into place. Jason was set to attend a massive charity event in Cannes, one where the paparazzi would be swarming, and Sophia would get her red carpet moment in front of the world. But what neither of them knew was that I had already set my plan in motion. Behind the scenes, I had been gathering information on both Jason and Sophia. Financial records, personal emails, texts, everything I could use to expose them in the worst possible way. With a few well-placed contacts in the media industry, I had managed to put together a dossier that would blow up their carefully crafted public personas. And that wasn't even the best part. Jennifer was more than willing to leak some of her own dirt on Jason. The man had skeletons in his closet that would make the tabloids salivate. Affairs with multiple women, shady business deals, a gambling habit, everything was primed to explode. But Sophia? Oh, I had something special planned for her. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about ruin. By the time I was done, she wouldn't just lose Jason. She'd lose her social media empire, her followers, her credibility, everything. The world she was so desperate to break into would turn on her in an instant, and there would be no coming back. As she packed her bags for the trip, she kissed me on the cheek, probably out of habit more than affection, and said, "When I get back, we need to talk about the future. I think it's time we officially go our separate ways." I smiled. "Oh, don't worry, the future's already set." She had no idea what was about to happen. Sophia had no idea what was waiting for her in Cannes. As I sat on the edge of our bed that night, staring at the packed suitcase she'd left in the hallway, I couldn't help but smirk. Everything was set. Every piece had fallen into place with the kind of precision only a man pushed to the edge could orchestrate. She thought she was heading to Cannes to live the life of a red carpet queen with her celebrity lover, Jason Hall. She thought she'd walk down the aisle of flashing cameras, hand in hand with a man who would boost her status to the stratosphere. But what she didn't realize was that this trip wasn't just a chance for her to parade around in designer dresses and chase clout. It was the stage I had set for her downfall. The flight to Cannes was booked under Jason's name, with 5-star hotel accommodations, of course. She'd sent me a message from the plane, her voice note dripping with fake sweetness. "Babe, I'll be so busy with the events and parties. I probably won't be able to call much. I'll see you when I get back, okay?" The way she said it, it was as though we were still together, still that happily married couple with no skeletons in the closet. I had to fight the urge to laugh at her delusion. By the time she landed in France, everything was already moving. I had set my contacts in the media world in motion, making sure that a few exclusive leaks would drop at the exact right moment. Leaks about Jason. Leaks about Sophia. And thanks to Jennifer, Jason's scorned wife, I had plenty of ammunition. Sophia's red carpet debut was set to take place in 2 days. I knew every detail, right down to the moment she was supposed to step out of the limo onto the blinding lights of photographers. It was supposed to be her Cinderella moment, the moment she'd finally arrive in the glamorous world she'd been dying to be part of. But I had no intention of letting her bask in that spotlight for long. The morning of the event, I woke up early, grabbed a cup of coffee, and settled onto the couch in front of the TV. I wasn't planning to miss the show. Sophia was likely having breakfast in the hotel suite Jason had reserved for them, probably giddy with excitement about the dress fittings and the exclusive party invitations. But halfway across the world, sitting comfortably in our suburban home, I already knew what she didn't. The media storm was about to start. It began with a headline, innocuous enough to the average person scrolling through their morning news. Sources say Jason Hall's marriage on the rocks amidst affair rumors. Nothing too scandalous at first, but it was enough to get people talking. A few thousand shares on Twitter, some like gossip in the comment sections. But then, about an hour later, things escalated. Jennifer Hall, Jason's wife, had released a statement, a well-crafted message that I'd helped her write. In it, she expressed her heartbreak over her husband's ongoing infidelities and subtly hinted at the new woman in his life, without naming names, of course. Cue the frenzy. Tabloids ate it up, fans were enraged, and social media buzzed like a swarm of hornets. And just like that, Jason Hall's glamorous facade began to crack. It was only the beginning. Back in Cannes, Sophia was oblivious. I imagined her grinning as she stepped into her luxury car, Jason by her side, cameras already starting to flash as they pulled up to the red carpet. She must have felt invincible at that moment, on top of the world, draped in an expensive gown and walking beside Hollywood royalty. I could almost see it, the swarm of reporters and paparazzi crowding around, snapping photos, shouting their names, eager for that one perfect shot. Sophia, thinking she was about to have her breakthrough, posing with Jason, imagining how her Instagram followers would triple by the end of the night. But what she didn't expect was what would come next. As they made their way down the red carpet, the whispers started. One reporter, then another. "Jason, what's going on with your marriage? Jason, is it true you've been cheating?" And then, more pointed questions, the kind that hit like daggers. "Is this your mistress?" Sophia must have frozen, her fake smile faltering as the paparazzi turned their attention to her, not as Jason's dazzling new girlfriend but as the home wrecker. And that was when the second wave hit. While she was still reeling from the unexpected barrage of questions, the next round of media, thanks to the work I had put in behind the scenes, a well-timed article hit every major gossip website. Rising fashion influencer's secret affair with a list star exposed, how Sophia Carter betrayed her husband for fame and fortune. The article didn't hold back. Every dirty detail of her affair was laid out for the world to see. There were texts, screenshots I had personally forwarded between her and Jason, discussing their private rendezvous, their plans for the future, and how she was using me as nothing more than a stepping stone to get to Jason's world. Sophia's social media posts, the ones where she was working hard on her fashion career, were exposed as nothing more than thinly veiled excuses to spend time with Jason. I made sure the timeline of her betrayal was crystal clear for everyone to see. It wasn't just a one-time fling, it was months of calculated deceit. And then, the bombshell. Remember that expensive dress she was wearing on the red carpet? The one she had claimed in interviews was a gift from a designer who admired her work. Well, it wasn't. The article revealed that Jason had bought it for her, part of the ongoing affair that had helped her climb the social ladder. She had used Jason for fame, just as much as he had used her for his own twisted ego boost. As the story spread like wildfire, Sophia's carefully curated image began to implode. Her Instagram followers, those loyal fans who had praised her for her humble beginnings and authenticity, turned on her in an instant. The comment section of her latest post was filled with venom. "Homewrecker, how could you do this to your husband? You're disgusting. You cheated for fame, pathetic." And it wasn't just online. As she stood on that red carpet, under the blinding lights of 1,000 cameras, the reporters began to pounce. They shouted questions at her, questions she wasn't prepared for. "Sophia, what do you have to say about cheating on your husband? Did you really use Jason for fame? What about your marriage?" I imagined her standing there, frozen in place, her hand tightening around Jason's arm as she realized the fairy tale was over. She wasn't the Cinderella of the night anymore. She was the villain of the story, the woman who cheated on her loyal husband for fame and fortune. And Jason? Oh, he wasn't about to stick around and deal with the fallout. That much I knew. The man had built his career on image, and the second his reputation was at stake, he dropped Sophia faster than a bad script. I could picture the moment, Jason pulling away, distancing himself from the chaos, leaving her alone to face the angry mob of reporters and flashing cameras. Alone, humiliated, and abandoned by the very man she had betrayed me for. Back home, I watched it all unfold on the news. The footage from the event was everywhere. There was Sophia, standing alone in the crowd, her face pale, her smile long gone. The perfect red carpet moment she had dreamed of had turned into a public relations nightmare. My plan had worked, but this wasn't the end. No, this was just the beginning of her downfall. The day after the Cannes debacle, I woke up with a sense of satisfaction I hadn't felt in a long time. The kind that seeps deep into your bones, making you feel lighter. It was as if the weight of Sophia's betrayal had been lifted, piece by piece, and now all that remained was the final act of my revenge, a masterpiece I had been crafting from the very moment I discovered her infidelity. While Sophia's world continued to unravel in Cannes, I had other plans. I wasn't content with just humiliating her in front of the public. No, that wasn't nearly enough. There was one final layer to this, a personal and intimate devastation that would haunt her for years to come. The kind that would gnaw at her when the cameras stopped flashing, and her so-called celebrity lifestyle faded into obscurity. First, I made sure all the legal documents were in order. Over the past few months, I had quietly assembled a crack team of divorce lawyers, the best in the business. They were ruthless, sharp, and as cold-blooded as I needed them to be. The kind who knew how to strip someone clean without ever giving them a chance to fight back. Sophia had no idea that I'd already filed for divorce months ago. While she was busy flying around with Jason, pretending to be the new queen of Hollywood, I had taken my time preparing the perfect strategy. Every bank account, every shared asset, every little piece of our life that we had built together, I had already secured them in my name. I left her with nothing. By the time she returned from Cannes, bruised and battered by the media storm, she would come home to find the locks changed and a process server waiting at the door with the divorce papers in hand. The house? Mine. The car she loved so much? Repossessed. Every luxury she had once flaunted on her Instagram, every little piece of her fake lifestyle? Gone. And to make sure there was no way out for her, I had one more trick up my sleeve, the prenuptial agreement. Sophia had signed the prenup years ago, back when we were young and in love, when she couldn't imagine a world where we wouldn't be together forever. It had seemed like a mere formality at the time, something to please my more cautious parents who worried about the future. Sophia had laughed it off, saying, "We'll never need this." Well, now it was her worst nightmare. The prenup was ironclad, and thanks to a specific infidelity clause I had insisted on, Sophia wasn't entitled to a dime. Cheating on me had not only cost her the public's admiration and her so-called relationship with Jason, it had cost her everything else. She wouldn't see a penny of my money, wouldn't keep any of our assets, and would be forced to start from scratch. The best part? I had strategically delayed the filing so that by the time the papers were served, every bit of wealth she thought she had access to had been locked away. She was about to walk right into the abyss of financial ruin, and there was nothing she could do about it. Meanwhile, the fallout from the media storm hadn't subsided. If anything, it had escalated. Jason Hall, the supposed knight in shining armor, had already moved on. A source leaked to the press that he'd been spotted with a new girl, some 20-something model, barely 2 days after Sophia's humiliation at Cannes. There were no statements from Jason, no damage control for Sophia Sake. He had dropped her like the inconvenient scandal she had become. Sophia's online presence, once the cornerstone of her identity, had crumbled. Her Instagram account, which had once boasted hundreds of thousands of followers, became a war zone. Her fans had turned against her, calling her a homewrecker, a gold digger, a shallow wannabe who would do anything for fame. And she couldn't delete the comments fast enough. Endorsements she had secured, brand deals she had lined up, they were all pulled. No one wanted to be associated with a woman whose entire reputation had been publicly shattered. Even the smaller fashion brands, the ones who had once sung her praises, quietly distanced themselves from the scandal. By the time she touched down from Cannes, her career was dead. I could only imagine the look on her face when she finally arrived home from the airport, exhausted, drained, probably half hoping that she could seek some sort of refuge here. But instead, she found me gone, the locks changed, and all her things packed up and waiting outside on the front lawn. It was the ultimate homecoming gift, a stark reminder that she had gambled everything, and lost. I made sure to watch the footage that a neighbor had so kindly recorded. Sophia stood outside the house, her eyes wide in disbelief, dragging her suitcase behind her as she frantically tried the front door. A moment later, she must have spotted the papers taped to the glass, a neat little bundle of legal devastation, complete with a divorce notice and a reminder of the prenup that left her with nothing. She crumpled to the ground, sobbing. But I didn't feel any sympathy for her. This was the same woman who had looked me in the eyes 4 months, pretending to love me, all while stabbing me in the back. It wasn't long after that I received the inevitable phone call. My phone buzzed, and I saw her name flash on the screen. I let it ring for a while, savoring the moment, before finally picking up. "What the hell, Greg?" Her voice was hoarse, desperate, a far cry from the confident, ambitious Sophia I had once known. "What is this? You changed the locks? You filed for divorce? You can't do this. I thought we could work things out, that you'd understand." I let her words hang in the air for a moment before replying, calmly and coldly. "You thought wrong, Sophia. You thought I'd just sit around and take it while you used me and humiliated me. You thought you could betray me, cheat on me with Jason, and walk away scot-free. But guess what? You don't get to win this time." I could hear her gasping on the other end, her breath coming in short, panic bursts. "Greg, please, we can fix this. I made a mistake, but I still love you." I cut her off, my voice as sharp as a knife. "It's too late for that. You made your bed, Sophia. Now, you get to lie in it. I hope Jason was worth it because now, you've lost everything." I ended the call there, leaving her with nothing but silence. No chance for a rebuttal, no opportunity to plead for forgiveness. She was out of my life for good. Sophia had climbed over me to get to the top, but in doing so, she had underestimated just how far she had to fall. And I made sure she hit rock bottom. She was no longer the glamorous social climber she once pretended to be. She was nothing more than a washed-up scandal, forgotten by the man she betrayed me for, abandoned by the public she craved adoration from, and left with nothing but her shame and regret. As for me, I was free. I had taken back my life, my dignity, and my future. The revenge was complete, and now, for the first time in a long time, I could finally move on. And that was the sweetest victory of all.